you join me here today on my local mark. Be fishing into the evening, probably about 1, 2 o'clock. We're going to be using squid, and I've got some really old worm. Now, some really stinky old worm that I'm going to make some squid cocktails up with. Generally, with worm, you want to be fishing fresh and fresh only. But I think that sometimes you use some old worm that perhaps from a session or two before. And I must admit, I never put it in the fridge as like gloop. But as we all know, as I say in my other videos, it is all about scent trail, and I'm sure that will give a good pong. So what's the time? It's 5 to 7. Low tide here is 6:30. So by the time I get over, get set up, I mean, it's going to be dark. That's why I wanted to quickly do this now before, you know, we're over there and it's we're in dark conditions. So fingers crossed. What's on the menu tonight? Well, probably rays are going to be about again, hopefully, fingers crossed, because they're always a nice lifesaver. Probably a ton of whiting, although hopefully I'm going to be fishing another hook size up, so 4 O's I believe. I'm going to be fishing big baits. You can never really stop them, can you? But hopefully the way I'm going to be fishing these baits, you know, really does help. So I'll stop babbling on, get my arse over there because it's a long walk, and I did actually go to Fort Park yesterday and my legs are killing. So it's going to be a fun walk, I think. So looking in the car park, not many cars at all. I'm crossing everything I can get on my favourite spot tonight, because last weekend some jammy gits managed to secure it before me. But nonetheless, that means I'm going to have to walk even further. I don't mind. If it means a fish or two, then no problem at all. So yeah, anyway, I'll get the stuff out of the car, get over there, and I'll be back to you when I'm there. Here we go then, my fish loving friends. We're now set up and off. Very, very blustery tonight. Very surprised also the lack of people down here. I'm not quite fishing up to my favourite spot, but I'm near it. There is someone a bit further up. There's also someone right round the top of the bay at East Lane. Perhaps they know the cod are in, because that's a really good hot spot there. And then there's one right at the end at this side of the bay, but that's it. Usually on a Saturday, oh, that was a bit of a pull on that right rod. But yeah, usually on a Saturday, this is absolutely rammed, and it's the last one of 3 big tides in a row. Not the biggest, but a bit biggest of the month, but still really good tides. So as I said, low tide, sorry, was at 7:30. It's now 8:45, so we're certainly out of that low tide period. Bit of pool now, very windy, like I say. We've got the luxury of sitting behind the shelter here, but as soon as you pop your head up, it's quite a strong offshore wind. So I'm hoping that's going to pay dividends as the tide comes in. Certainly going to keep an eye on it, because it looks a lot rougher than what I'm used to over the last few sessions. Oh, that left rod then. I reckon that's a whiting. Rattle, rattle, rattle. Fishing big baits, so double squid on both. You know, fair size squid, wrapped up with some really old worm as well. So fingers crossed we can see something half decent. I'm not aware of any codling showing off this mark just yet, but I'm constantly seeing, like you guys are probably, on Facebook, good cod catches further up, sort of northeast, and across other parts of the country as well. So I'm hoping it's a matter of time before we can land on them. You know, it's certainly a good tide, certainly a bit of a bluster coming through. So yeah, we'll just have to see how it goes. Signs are good. I've had a good bite on the right rod. Again, I think just whiting, and obviously that, I don't know if you saw that left rod just have a good twitch there as well. But what I see is one of them to whack over, really, don't we? You know, the iconic codling bites. Failing that, some nice rays. So I'd expect rays in about an hour-ish for state of tide. Usually that's when you see them. I much prefer it here on the ebb, and most of my fishing actually much prefer fishing on the ebb. High tide's around 1 o'clock, I believe. Might still be here. Just depends how much bait we get through and what the fishing like, of course. So certainly fish, hopefully up to high tide, but it'd be good to fish a couple of hours after as well. So fingers crossed we can show you a good session. Like I say, the rods are very jolty in that wind, hitting the waves, because I'm fishing right back just for safety, really, because some of them waves are sweeping in already. So I fished here when the waves are really pushing along, when I was younger and more naive and had a little less fear, and that was quite edgy. It's nowhere near as blustery tonight as it was then. I'm talking probably gale force winds, sweeping 10-foot tides coming in, pushing right up on the high bank there, and fishing about 10 yards. But hey, I had 2 or 3 cod that night. You know, no risk, no rewards, but I'm in no way endorsing that. Please put your safety first. I think we have probably got a whiting on that right rod, more consistent flicking now. And what I'm going to do is, if I have, I'm actually going to put it out on that whiting. Great codling bait, and ray bait as well. I'm sure rays will soon mop up, you know, a whiting on its way out. You know, and also, you know, if there's tons of whiting out there, there's not a lot of bait going in from other anglers, of course, because there's not a lot of anglers here. That's going to hopefully save my bait a little longer. Yeah, there's certainly something there. So let's give it a go, guys. Yeah, it feels like a whiting on here. Oh, no, it's got a bit light now. Probably not. Right. Wow, decent sized whiting that. Really nailed that bait as well. So I probably would have put this back, although I could eat it myself. That's bleeding. It's a really good whiting that. I don't know if you can see that. Yeah, decent. Probably a bit big for live bait in my opinion, but I could cut him up as he's bleeding. Good deep your hood. I think that's what I'm going to do. They always say hold the fish closest to the camera. There you go. That's a pretty decent sized white, and I'm not just doing it to make it look bigger. Quite deeply hooked, but I wouldn't launch that out on its own. I mean, you can see compared to the size of my hand. There he goes. There you go. Even though he's got teeth, I'll do that just to try and. But he's quite deeply hooked, so I'll use sections of him to, you know, see if a cod or a fish of that nature will take him. I usually put him back, guys and girls, because I don't believe in taking much out of the sea. But as he was deep hooked, I think I'm going to use him as bait. So let's see if we can get something a bit bigger. That was a nice fish. At least it isn't a blank. That's a good start. What I have gone and done, guys, is actually, yeah, I've put that out fully. I thought, well, I'll just launch it out as far as I can. Quite tricky on that little bendy rod, but I've done so. Probably only 20 yards. There is a good push coming in. That's really quite a bit of white water right close. So yeah, it's about 20 yards. This is a deep water venue, and I have caught them here very close, as in the codling, I mean. So there might be an odd rogue bass that, I don't know, it could have to be a big bass, I reckon, but who knows? You never know, do you? There's been some real good sort of double figure size bass coming off the shoreline this year. I think my PB is probably, it's not very big with bass, it's probably a pound and a half, so that would be an awesome fish if there's still a few around. But yeah, so I've put that out. I've actually pierced it a few times, get some of that ooze coming out, just to see really. You never know, so I'll probably leave that out perhaps an hour, then get it in. I'm going to bring in that other rod shortly because there was a bit of action on that to begin with, but now it's slowed. But yeah, that'd be interesting. I don't know if people catch conger off this point, this mark, but yeah, it's a bit of a gamble, that one, but no risk, no reward and all that. So yeah, let's see if it produces a bite. I can imagine it's probably going to go over quite well if something does hit that. So it could be a bit of entertainment value for that at least. Right, better check that left rod, that's been out a fair while now. It actually feels a little heavy. Over my other line for a minute, I'm going to put it this way. Yeah, I think I am. You know, in all the years I've been fishing, I've never done that. Oh my gosh! Oh my gosh! Jesus guys, I can't believe what I've got on here. Let me set this up properly. Right, where do I start with this? So, I picked another whiting. There we go. Wow, that's my PB bass. Look at that. How the hell was that rattling? So this has obviously gone for this. Fantastic. Oh, I'm chuffed with that. Look at that fish. I don't know if I've got the scales, but I'll certainly check. I did go carp fishing. I did rush to get here tonight, but who cares, right? That is a cracking bass. Wow. How did that not make much movement on the rod? I don't know. I'm not the biggest fan of my SKS, I must admit, because the bite reception. But who the hell cares? That's a fantastic bass. What? Oh guys, help me out if you catch a bass. I reckon that's a couple of £3. What a cracking fish! That is a keeper. But I'm not sure whether to keep it. I can hear people at home scream and go, yes, keep it. The bass is lovely. Absolutely cracking. Not long had that PB bass. This wind, and I tell you, this is the wind for bass. Would you look at that? Holy cow. This is the moment where I go, why did I leave my scales in my carp gear and rush to get here? Look at that. Look at the mouth on that. I hossed out the whiting, hooked it up properly. Would you look at that fish? I reckon I could nearly put my fist in that fish's mouth. That is an absolutely cracking fish. I feel so blessed. That, I would say, I don't even know. Please, if you're a bass wanger, so sorry to be one of them guys. I'm lost for words. I cannot believe it. Yeah. That's incredible. Look, it's like nearly the length of my arm. And you know what? That fish is going back. And some people might call me crazy, but that's a breeder. You know, it probably a year maybe. That's a breeder. We've got to look after our sea fish. But for the moment, I'm just gonna marvel at that fish. I could not believe it when it was coming up. I thought, a cod. I've got a cod. That swung right round, so I couldn't even tell I had a bite. I was just gonna change that whiting over to more of a fillet-based fish. Thank you so much. That is incredible.